It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 5 films released on October 16th, 2009. And once again, we have a wide assortment of movies here. We have 2 polarizing movies. Okay, maybe the first one is maybe the biggest polarizing film of the bunch, but we have we have an adaptation of a classic children's book. We have Gerard Butler and Jamie Foxx in an action thriller. We have a remake of an 80s horror cult classic, because clearly Sony Pictures has got to ruin every one of those with a new reboot. We have a return to form in terms of parody movies with Black Dynamite, and we have a movie that I thought I was going to get a lot of stuff out of for a really good video, and it just didn't work out that way. We'll get to that one at the end of the show, but before we do any of that, let's get to the biggest new release of the weekend, the very polarizing Where the Wild Things Are. This is, of course, based off of Maurice Sendak classic book of the same name, but this is a movie that has been in development for a long time. This started back in the 1980s when Disney was, still in the dwindling years of its pre-Second Renaissance animation, and they were really struggling to keep up. And one of the things they were going to do was a movie version of Where the Wild Things Are that combined traditional animated characters with computer-generated environments. And unfortunately, that never went anywhere, and that project was eventually completely destroyed after that. But then, nearly 20 years later, Universal Studios picked up the rights to make a movie. Their plan was to make a computer-animated adaptation with Disney animator Eric Goldberg at the helm, and there was even supposedly a teaser trailer that was put out in front of The Grinch in November of 2000. But it's never been put online. It's considered to be lost media, but everyone says that there was a teaser attached to it saying that it was coming within the next year, but it never came to be, and then the project kind of fell apart after that. And then in 2003, the live-action version came around, and then, Eric Goldberg was replaced by Spike Jonze, who was coming off of stuff like Being John Malkovich, adaptation, and, he was seen as kind of the next logical person to take over this project, and, what we get is the film that we're about to talk about here. After nearly 30 years, Where the Wild Things Are, in the movie based off the book by Maurice Sendak, a young boy named Max, played by newcomer Max Records, runs away from home after biting his mother, played by Catherine Keener, during a dinner with her boyfriend, played by Mark Ruffalo. He should have turned into the Hulk and beat the shit out of that kid after that, but he arrives on an island of creatures led by Carol, voiced by James Gandolfini. Max claims to be a king from another time and becomes the king of the creatures. The other creatures are Judith, played by Catherine O'Hara, Ira, played by Forrest Whitaker, KW, played by Lauren Ambrose, Douglas, played by Chris Cooper, Alexander, played by Paul Dano, and the Bull, played by Michael Berry Jr. And yeah, this is one of those movies that was not the big hit the studio was hoping for. I mean, granted, it did make back its $100 million budget, just barely, by like about $100,000. I mean, it really was that close, but kind of like with Watchmen, they were expecting a whole lot more from it in terms of the box office, and it was seen as a major disappointment overall. Most of the reviews were okay at the time. I mean, they were not spectacular, they were nothing amazing, but they were better than you could expect for a film like this. I mean, this was clearly a movie that probably was ahead of its time in terms of its appreciation. Like, it's a film that, didn't get the proper respect it did back then, but as time has gone on, some people have come to admire it for what it was. When I saw it for the first time, I really didn't like it. I mean, I really tried to stick with it, and it just wasn't hitting me, and I really felt let down by the movie overall, because there's a lot of good stuff in there. And then, sure enough, when I got a chance to rewatch this again recently, I'm thinking, okay, it's been nearly 20 years. Surely my mind is going to change on this. I mean, everybody else seems to think that this is a cinematic classic on so many levels. So maybe I'm the Grinch in this situation. Maybe I need to see this once again to reevaluate my idea of how this movie should really be. And I watched the movie, and sadly, my thought really has not changed all that much on this movie. I know I'm going to sound like I hate the movie, but I don't. It's really, the first 20 minutes of the film really took me out of the movie right out of the gate. When the kid is chasing the dog around, and he's literally, like, committing animal abuse on this dog, it's like, they're not even trying to hide it. They make Max kind of an asshole in the beginning of the movie. Like, that was bad, and it's like that's the first 20 minutes of the movie, and I really thought to myself, okay, this is going to end up bad here. This movie's not going to end up being that great overall. I really got scared that this was going to end up being one of the worst movies I saw from that year, but it's at the point when the fantasy element starts to come in. It's kind of like with If, except If wasn't a big disaster in the beginning of the movie, but it did start off slow. It took its time to get going, and once we got past the 20-minute mark and Max went to the island, like, the moment that happened, that's where it picked up quickly, and I was really enjoying the movie for the most part at that point. Even at the end when he has to come back home and he has to make amends with his mother for what he did. My main problem with the movie, honestly, was the film did not do a very good job of making Max likable for the most part. Mostly in the first 20 minutes. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to set up the moments where he's going to run away and why he's doing it, but during that time, you can't stand this kid. The mother I also thought Catherine Keener as the mother was also being way too cruel to him, and, like, in the first 20 minutes, you really do not like anybody in this movie. So when he's away and he wants to go back home, you never really feel that, and it just didn't work for me. And like I said, the moment when he attacks this poor defenseless dog, like in animation, like the animated thing I was talking about with Disney, when they did that, that was fine. Like, that was not something where he was like going extreme crazy on him like he does in this movie. Like, where's Peter when you need him on this? It's just like you never see that dog again either. So that makes you think that dog is dead. Like, he dismantled that dog so much that he killed him. That's literally what it felt like when I watched that again. It's just like nothing really has changed about this movie in the near 20 years since I've seen it. But like I said, when Max gets to the island and he meets the characters, that's when the mood starts to change a little bit with me. Like, I went from hating the movie to really enjoying it. I actually did get very attached to the creature characters. I thought the best one of the bunch was KW, played by Lauren Ambrose, who doesn't really get a whole lot of film work overall, but her character was somebody who was the sanest of all the creatures there, and the one who really connected with the kids that were in the audience that I saw the film with when I saw it back then. And yeah, she was a great character in there, and, I mean, a lot of the other people in here are really good. James Gandolfini was great as Carol. The lake was, when he died, it's just like, you look back at his film works and it's just like, yeah, it's Tony Soprano, but it's not Tony Soprano. Like, it's James Gandolfini showing he has range as an actor, and he really nailed it in these films that he made after The Sopranos. This, Enough Said, The Drop, all these really good movies that really, like, I really do appreciate more of his acting abilities more after watching the stuff he did after The Sopranos. Of course, you got Catherine O'Hara, who can usually never do any wrong. Forrest Whitaker sounding like he smoked pot before he recorded his voiceovers, but he was pretty good too. Chris Cooper's usually very good. Paul Dano's really good. I mean, it's a complicated movie in general. The first 20 minutes and the ending, I think, really are the weak links of the movie. Once we get to the island and we get to see the fantastical elements of it, that's where the movie, I think, really begins to take place and get a lot of enjoyment out of me from it. I don't like this movie as much as everybody else did, but I guess I can say overall, I don't hate it. Like, I made it seem like in the beginning that I hated the movie. I don't. It's the first 20 minutes and the final ending of the movie that really hurt the film in general and really keep me from saying it's one of the best family films ever. I would say that it's a mixed opinion, but more leaning towards a positive review. Like, I would say it's worth it on that level. I mean, it's worth it on that front. You just got to get through the first 20 minutes and then the final ending, and, the creature stuff is what makes it work overall. Like I said, not a great movie, but definitely not as bad as I think I made it out to be, but it's not as great as everybody makes it out to be either. It's just a movie where I saw it, I liked it, don't really have any real intentions on ever going back to seeing it, honestly. But again, that's just my personal opinion. I know this movie has a loyal fan base to it, so yeah, that's my thoughts on Where the Wild Things Are. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here. Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler in the action-adventure Law Abiding Citizen. So Law Abiding Citizen tells the story of a man played by Gerard Butler driven to seek justice while targeting not only his family's killer, but also those who support a corrupt criminal justice system, intending to assassinate anyone supporting the system. And his big enemy in this is Jamie Foxx. And this is directed by F. Gary Gray, who had done some action movies before this with The Negotiator, and then Kurt Wimmer, who wrote the script for Equilibrium, of course. And yeah, this isn't really that good in general. It's kind of just a bland action movie. It's a bland movie where it's a bland Death Wish ripoff. I mean, it's literally almost the same plot as Death Wish, except the vigilante is going after the corrupt government and the criminal justice system in here, and it gets kind of boring really fast. It's a movie where it just doesn't have that spark there to give it its own unique edge to it. Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler are trying their best to hold it together, and F. Gary Gray has proven to be a good director outside of his normal comedic genre, but at the same time, though, you do expect a lot more, and I think a lot of it plays into the lackluster script that's involved in here. It really is not a good script overall, and it just feels like you never feel like you get the satisfaction you want from a film like this. I mean, granted, it's better than Gamer, but at the same time, it's not a movie where I say it's worth checking out. Maybe for a one-time watch, it's passable, but other than that, though, I have no intentions of ever watching this ever again, So with that said, let's move on to the next movie we have here, and that is the remake of The Stepfather. Yeah, because when I think of somebody who plays an evil stepfather, my first thought is the other guy that wasn't Doctor Doom from Nip Tuck. I mean, Dylan Walsh, good actor overall, but he is not a threatening persona. Like, Terry O'Quinn in the original was threatening in a way that worked towards his character in general. I'll talk more about the original in just a moment, but this is, of course, a remake of the 1987 movie where you have Penn Badgley playing Michael Harding, who returns home from military school to find out that his mother, Susan, played by Celia Ward, happily in love and living with her new boyfriend, David, played by Dylan Walsh. As the two men get to know each other, Michael becomes more and more suspicious of the man who is always there with a helpful hand. Is he really the man of her dreams, or could David be hiding a dark side? See, they're not even married when he meets them, so it's not even really the stepfather. It's just the boyfriend that's replacing your dad. It's just that type of a movie. But the original The Stepfather was a good horror movie, and it wasn't just a straightforward horror movie. It worked because Terry O'Quinn could legitimately be threatening, even when he didn't know what the situation was. There's literally a part of the movie where he's with his new family, and he gets so confused on what he's doing. It's just like, wait, where am I? Like, like he's trying to figure out, like, what family he's in. Like, stuff like that. It's funny, but it's also really creepy because the fact that he's done this so many times now, he can't figure out what point in time he's at. It's just kind of like, it's just like, holy crap, man. Like, that's why that movie works so well. This is from the same director of the Prom Night remake. I think you could take a guess on what that means for this movie. Nothing. It means absolutely nothing. This movie is complete garbage. And, yeah, it's your typical, let's make a PG-13 horror remake so we can have the teenagers bring their dates out on a Friday night and then see the movie and then never watch it again afterwards. Because that's another one of these movies where it came, it went, nobody remembers this movie. And for good reason, because it is not enjoyable whatsoever. It is a lackluster thriller. You've seen done that before so many times. The scares aren't there. The performances are not great. It just isn't worth it. It's not worth it at all. So yeah, we've had kind of a mixed bag of movies to start it off here, but let's get to some good stuff for once. The best movie of this weekend, hands down, and it's Michael Jai White in Black Dynamite. I guess I should have just said Michael J. White is Black Dynamite, because that's literally the character he plays in this movie, but the plot centers around former CIA agent Black Dynamite, who must avenge his brother's death while cleaning the streets of a new drug that is ravaging the community. And as I said, this is a parody of 1970s action and blaxploitation movies. But this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do a spoof movie. Not this Jason Freeberg, Aaron Seltzer bullshit. This right here is how you make a good parody and spoof movie. Because this movie does everything that a great spoof movie does. This is like I'm Gonna Get You Sucker for the 1970s. Michael Jai White is so perfectly casted as Black Dynamite in here. He steals the show, and he's finally given a great leading role that works to his favor, and not like Spawn, which Spawn wasn't really his fault in general. It was just a bad movie altogether. But he's got a great cast around him. Tommy Davidson, Sally Richardson. You also have Arsenio Hall. Kevin Chapman, Oba Babatunde, Richard Edson, Buddy Lewis, Brian McKnight, Nicole Parker, Phil Morris, Miguel Nunez Jr., John Sally, Tucker Smallwood, Mike Starr, Nicole Sullivan, Kim Whitley, Micheletti Williamson, Bokeem Woodbine, Cedric Yarborough. A ton of good people in this movie, and this is just a really, really funny movie that even if you've never seen, the movies that they're satirizing here, you could still get a lot of value out of it and just enjoy the hell out of it because it really is that funny of a movie. It is a well-made film. I can't recommend this one enough. Black Dynamite. It led to a great TV series on Adult Swim that only lasted a few seasons, but it was worth it, man. It was made by the same guys who made The Boondocks, but it was definitely worth it as well. Seek Black Dynamite out. It is one of the funniest spoof movies you could possibly have at this time period. It's easily one of the better ones from the latter half of this decade. Black Dynamite, man. Black freaking Dynamite. You can't go wrong with this. With that said, I may have been a little bit wrong on where the wild things are, but let me tell you, I wasn't wrong about this movie that we're going to talk about, this last movie we're going to talk about here. I was maybe wrong in how it was going to be going into it, but yeah, this one, you can tell why it's going to be forgettable in just a moment. This is Ice Cube and Mike Epps in Janky Promoters. This is a movie called Janky Promoters, which is a film you probably have never even heard of. And it reteams Ice Cube and Mike Epps, who play as janky promoters who book rapper Jeezy to play at their concert, only to fail at doing it the right way and thus getting into more trouble than they bargained for. And there's an interesting story behind this movie. The most interesting thing about this movie was that this was supposed to be a film that was supposed to be released in theaters. They released this unfinished, and Ice Cube basically said, the Weinsteins fucked me. Yeah, basically they fucked me. They was run into financial problems, so they couldn't put the movie out of wide release. And they told us we could sell the movie to another company, give them their money back. I had money tied into that movie, and then release it wide. While we were making the deal over here, they put it out on DVD over there, and I found out because somebody told me I just got the DVD for Janky Promoters. I went through the roof. It was the shadiest shit that ever happened to me in the movie business. So it's real ironic, and the movie was unfinished. We still had a few days of reshoots we had to do to shore up the end. It had a lot of loose ends, the music wasn't right, and they just basically snuck over here, finished it, edited it, and put it out. It was like crackhead shit. Stealing the microwave out of your grandmama's house and selling it on the streets. So I learned a lesson. But that's what happens with that movie. That movie would have made money. People would have went to go see it, they just tanked it. It could have been, I think, at least 25% better, and you wanted to finish the movie. You don't want to see people to see a rough draft. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of whack. I hope you appreciated my attempt to try to say this without sounding like Ice Cube, because yeah, I can't say it as well in that Ice Cube voice like he does. But let's just say this: thank God, at least one of the Weinsteins would never ever do anything worse than that ever again. But yeah, that's some bullshit from that Ice Cube's final cut never came to fruition, and that the Weinsteins pretty much screwed him over on that one. And the final product definitely shows a lot of the problems this movie has. Now, I've been saying before, when I found this movie at a Walmart, not but a month after it was released in theaters, in the small theaters that it was, because it was not a wide release. And I saw this, and I had heard all these stories about it, and for a number of years I was telling myself, wow, I should probably do a video about all the stuff I heard about this, because the production history of this was so bad, and I thought the movie was going to be this really terrible movie, would give me a lot of material to warrant a full-on video review. So I watched it so COVID happened, and I was just like, you know what? Now's the time to finally do it. I don't have anything else to do. I'm stuck in my house for the foreseeable future, so let me go ahead and pop the movie in, get ready to watch a movie where, I'm going to have a whole lot of material to work with for a review. And then you watch the movie, and it's one of the most boring, uninspired pieces of garbage ever. And there wasn't even enough material to warrant a full-on review for this. I'm not kidding when I tell you this. This is a lame movie. This is about as dull and as lifeless as it gets. Nothing about this movie worked at all. With a couple of exceptions. Ice Cube and Mike Epps still have that great comedy chemistry that they had in All About the Benjamins and the two Friday sequels. And they do get good chuckles here and there. But again, it's just that. Chuckles. There's hardly any good laugh-out-loud or funny moments in this movie. There's clearly good setups for some jokes, but nothing ever really delivers the laughs you expect them to give you. And I want to say that it's mostly because of the fact that this was not completely finished and they just released it as it was. I think that might have something to do with that. But on top of that, it's a pretty dated movie, even for 2009, when you see Ice Cube calling people on flip phones. By 2009, people didn't have flip phones anymore. I mean, this wasn't like it was 3 or 4 years prior when everybody had flip phones as their cell phones. No, 2009, people had regular phones, like the one I'm recording right now on here, except now we have more ability to do other things with it. But you get the idea. This movie is very dated right before it even gets going. The story itself is about as generic and as formulaic as you expect, and that shoddy editing is all over this movie. This movie did not have any favors done by it, and it felt like an unfinished film done by the Completion Bond Company, that company that, took a lot of Miramax movies they bought from other countries and re-edited it down and just made it as bad as it could be. This is the company that ruined The Thief and the Cobbler. That's what it feels like when you watch this movie. And it's not like the cast isn't doing a bad job in here. The problem is, they're really not given a whole lot to do. Ice Cube and Mike Epps, like I said, can still get some of the few funny moments in here, but then you have people like Lamar Tate, who actually has a lot more funnier lines in here, playing young Percy. You have young Jeezy in here, who's got some decent moments in here. You got an early Tiffany Haddish appearance before she became more prominent. You got Paige Kennedy. You got Aloma Wright, Tamala Jones, Juanita Jennings, Gabrielle Dennis. I mean, there is a lot of good people involved in here. But as far as the rest of the movie goes, there wasn't enough material in Jakey Promoters to put together an actual film review. But this is probably the best possible review you're going to get from me, but there's more than enough in here to tell you that this is just your basic direct-to-DVD movie mess. It's a film that I really believe could have been better had there been more effort being put into it. The Weinstein Company clearly fucked over Ice Cube by releasing the film without telling him, and I feel like if he had gotten the chance to finish the movie, do those reshoots he was talking about, this movie probably could have been a whole lot better. I mean, there could have been a good movie in here. I think there is potential there for a good movie. But the end result is just a dull, mediocre comedy that could have easily been a whole lot better than it ended up becoming. Now it's a movie where it's just it's the perfect definition of a direct-to-DVD movie that you find in a Walmart when you're looking around. There's zero effort being put into it. It's just there to be filler for the section, and people are convinced that it's just because it's a newer movie, that means that it's got to be something of value, and it just isn't. It just really is not. So there you go. That's Jakey Promoters, and hey, after all these years, I finally got to do a video review of it. Now, granted, it wasn't what I think a lot of people were expecting, but hey, you take what you can get with it. And so, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll take a look at pre-Halloween weekend with the 6th installment of the Saw series, Saw 6, on a weekend where Paranormal Activity gets released, and they basically become the new kings of Halloween. But we'll take a look at that movie. We'll take a look at the animated feature film version of Astro Boy. We'll take a look at Cirque du Freak, The Vampire's Assistant, one of the first real Twilight cash-in movies that they made. We'll take a look at Hilary Swank and the Oscar contender Amelia. We also have Lars von Trier's Antichrist, so we'll take a look at that. And I believe that's it. I believe that's all we've got here for you. So 5 movies to take a look at next time around, and we'll delve into those movies coming up tomorrow on the show. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification button, and the bell, because that's where you get updates on when new videos come out. And we do post new videos here every day. So, with all that said, I am off. I'll see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.